What is the real reason that you can't stick to a diet? I've spoken to so many people who keep going round and round in circles on trying this new diet and this new shiny method of losing weight that they all look great at first. There's a lot of noise like around keto and low carb, or maybe it's carnivore, or maybe now obviously the weight loss jabs, and that's a whole separate conversation. But how these like specific diets, these specific restrictive ways of eating can help you lose weight, and they can definitely do that. But a massive part is, and if like you follow my stuff, you probably relate to, you've tried a load of the diets, you feel like none of them ever feel sustainable, ultimately because they're not like built around your life. And it's not just about willpower, because I know a lot of people will get in their head around like, it's my fault and don't have enough willpower to stick to it and all that stuff. But what not a lot of people talk about when it comes to these diets, and why I like to take a more gradual approach, never going all in, is looking at more like how you create and make the habits that stick. Firstly, a massive reason why I believe diets fail is that you're trying to go from where you are now, your baseline, which might be however many calories over your calorie target for fat loss, and then you're trying to like pigeonhole yourself into this restrictive all or nothing diet where you have to stick to 100% everything on track with the diet, and any deviation from that is a failure. And you're already setting yourself up for failure when you go from where you are now, which is probably like a long way from where your ideal version of you is with the good habits. Trying to cross that bridge in like a week just isn't going to happen. And a lot of it with a new diet, it's kind of relying on motivation, because anything new, whenever you try anything new or you see a new method of doing something, because you've probably tried a million things before, they haven't worked, and then suddenly something new comes up, it looks exciting, it's motivating, and you're ready to give it everything that you've got. But why relying on motivation isn't the best way to go. It's not the way that you should be trying to lose fat. Obviously, motivation plays a role. You have to have a motivation, you have to have a drive to do what you do, but beyond the initial 1-2 weeks, that motivation is probably going to wear off. You'll get into routine, you'll get used to it, and then suddenly what felt exciting suddenly doesn't anymore. And it's then about finding a way, how can you stick to it, and how can you make this fit into your likes, your dislikes, your life, your preferences, all of that stuff, because anyone can stick to anything for a week or 2 weeks. But then it's how do you get to a point where you're able to get the weight off firstly, but then also keep it off long term. Another massive part of why diets fail is you're focused too much on outcomes over the systems, the things that you're doing. Obviously, have your goal set, have your ideal of you want to get to, maybe it's this many kg, you want to fit into this dress size, whatever that thing is for you, have your goal set and always have that as kind of like your North Star. But you, alongside that, need to be focused more on the day-to-day. What are the actions, what are the small little things that you can do every day that are going to slowly move you towards the goal? Because there might be times where you're on the journey, you're doing the stuff, you be so fixated on this goal and you might start making progress towards it, but then you just feel like you hit a wall and suddenly progress slows down, and then you get discouraged because you're not moving in the right direction that you want to. But secondly, on this as well, if your goal is a certain weight goal, why it's not the best thing to focus on, I've spoken about this before, but you might stay the same weight, but you can lose fat, you can build lean mass, you look so much better, you feel so much better, but the scale might not change massively. It's more about making your focus more on the actions you're taking, the things that you're doing that you know are going to get you to where you want to be, because we all know what those things are that we need to do to push us where we want to go, and it's often just being able to follow through and stick to it is the hard part. So it's like putting your enjoyment in, not necessarily enjoyment, but put your focus on the day-to-day actions that you're doing, try and be not so focused, not too attached to the end goal. Just do the things day to day, and you know that they're going to stack up. You're laying bricks that over time are going to stack up more than you really realize on like a micro level. And your progress might not show, say from like a week of being in a deficit, your progress of that week might not necessarily show up in that week after, but you're just laying those foundations for the progress that's going to come down the line. There might be a point where you have to adjust your targets or change certain things that you're doing, but broadly just focus on the day-to-day actions that you're taking, because you know that those are the things that are going to get you to where you want to go. Don't focus too much on your end goal. Just have that as like kind of like your long-term aim, your North Star that you're working towards. And the final thing is not being too hard on yourself. This is so hard with social media now, and I find it myself where there's just so much comparison where you're looking at people, maybe it's people in better shape than you or people that are further ahead in whatever field you're in this case, people that are in better shape than you, maybe people that have like progressed in their fat loss faster. But it's all about, and I need to remind myself of this as well, like you have to be focusing on you and where you were yesterday. Your only competition is the past version of you. You're not competing with anyone else. You don't know what circumstances someone else has come from. You don't know what like issues they're dealing with. You don't know, like, do they have more time than you? Do they have more energy? Everyone is so different, and you can't be comparing your progress to anyone else. The only person that's worth comparing yourself to is who you were yesterday. And if you're a few steps ahead of that, then that's a win. It doesn't matter where someone else is, who again has a completely different life, completely different circumstances. This is all you versus you yesterday. So the framework for building habits, this is based on a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. Massive book, it's like bestseller. If you haven't read it, go and read it, because it will shape a lot of your perspective around how to go about like building and changing habits in the way that you want to. And it's, whenever I'm working with anyone, it's kind of like those little things that kind of go into my mind with building those habits, and they've helped me a lot in my own stuff doing what I'm doing now. But law one of behavior change is make it obvious. I should say, before any of these laws, obviously remember why the goal is important to you, why you want to achieve it. That kind of underlies all of it. But firstly, make it obvious. For example, you won't feel like going to the gym when you start doing it. When you start exercising that bit more and doing the stuff that you know that you need to do, there's a level of friction there. You don't necessarily want to do it, but try and make your good habits as easy as possible. For example, like leaving your gym kit out the night before. Get yourself some new gym kit, like stuff that makes you feel better for wearing it. Leave it out the night before. With your meals, prep them the night before, the week before, and have them ready so they're just there, ready for when you need them. Obviously, on the flip side, if you're accustomed to just snacking on biscuits throughout the day, if the bad habits are obvious, they're the things that you've always done and they're always there front of mind, then when they're there, you're going to be so much more likely to go for them. And this is the same thing, like if you're at work, for a lot of people, like you're working in an office or a place where there's always going to be biscuits out. People are going to be offering you food that you know you don't need and you know you don't want. In those cases, it's obviously a little bit harder to avoid them, but keep yourself focused on the goal that you want. Remind yourself that you don't need them. If you want them, you can have them, but just be intentional about the amount of them that you have. But keep yourself focused on the goal that you have. Just move past them if they are there, as hard as that can be. And just do whatever you can within your environment, especially at home. Remove the cues for the bad habits. Make the good habits easier. Law 2 is make it attractive. This is where I believe a lot of diets go wrong. Anyone trying to start a plan and they're trying to be 100% perfect with their diet and eat completely clean and not allow room for the foods that they enjoy and just eating plain meals that you're eating just to hit your target. Some of us can do that, admittedly. I will do that most of the time, but most of us want some kind of variety, some kind of thing that makes it more attractive to build these habits when you're trying to get into eating better. You probably don't want just like plain chicken and rice. So it's about finding ways to just make it that bit more enjoyable. And if you've seen my content, seen the recipe stuff, it's trying to find more recipes like that that are a bit different, bit more exciting, just beyond your plain chicken and rice, plain whatever that thing is. Because I've always believed, like, if a diet is gonna make you miserable, it's not gonna fit your life. It's not gonna be sustainable. Law 3 is make it easy. This is a big one for the gym, especially. Like I was saying, before you go to start exercising, you probably won't feel like doing it, because a lot of people don't. Even me, there are times when I don't feel like working out. And this is where a lot of us will get caught up in our minds about, we think we've got this whole hour and a half session ahead of us and the whole friction of doing all of that stuff. But all you need to focus on before you start doing the thing, this applies like beyond exercise, even if it's like meal prep, the things that you don't enjoy, the things that are supporting your goals but you might not necessarily enjoy doing, it's removing the barrier to the level where it seems stupidly simple to not do it. For example, with the gym, you can tell yourself, just go in, you can go for 10 minutes, step on the treadmill, go home if you want to after that. But you'll probably find once you're in the gym, you start moving, you get the endorphins going, and suddenly it's so much easier to keep going. So just remove the barrier, because we get caught up in our minds about the whole thing that we have ahead of us. Just focus on getting your shoes on, get your car keys, get out of the door, do the simple little things that are going to move you towards that goal. Once you're moving, the motivation will come, because you can't try and think yourself into motivation. You have to start doing the stuff, and that's when the motivation will come. And law 4 is make it satisfying. Again, going back to the point of, you don't have to completely restrict yourself and cut out all the foods that you enjoy. Like for me, how I like this to look, and how for a lot of clients I like to program them, is you give yourself something to look forward to. We all have the foods that like we crave the most. If we go 100% clean, there are like certain things that we crave that we'd never really want to give up. And making a plan to stick long term, it's about finding room for these things within your plan. So for you, that's choosing like the small little things that, if it is chocolate for some people it's wine, for some people it might be like crisps, whatever your go-to food that you crave is, you can make room for that. It's just about being intentional, making it fit into your calories, but then have it as something to look forward to at the end of the day. Say if you stuck on track with your plan the whole day, then you have that last little thing to look forward to. Or across the whole week, you're good 6 out of 7 days, and then maybe on a Sunday you give yourself that, not quote unquote cheat meal, something that's slightly off plan. It's not going to massively whack you outside of your calories, obviously still being intentional about it, but you can make room for that within your plan when you're intentional. Give yourself that as something to look forward to, and then it makes it so much more rewarding to want to do the good stuff. Because if you're constantly trying to stay 100% on plan all the time, and then you don't really give yourself any like kind of reward for doing it, it makes it so much harder to stick to long term. So give yourself something. It could be at the end of the day, if you can go longer, then like end of the week, just something to look forward to will massively help you just to stick to and follow through doing the things that you might not always feel like doing, but you know that it's supporting your goals, and then you know that you have something to look forward to after doing it. Now, the mindset shift, which James Clear did talk about in the book as well, is don't ask the question, how do I lose weight? Start asking, who is the person that you're becoming? Because identity will shape a lot of the things that you do or the things that you don't do. This can especially be hard when you've been round in circles with diets for however many years, and then you're stuck in this identity of like, I've tried things, I've failed, and you might feel like you just can't stick to anything anymore. You feel like you've failed everything. But forget about outcomes right away. Think about, who are you becoming? Who is the type of person that you want to be? This won't come at first. You won't feel like someone that exercises at first. You might not feel like someone that eats well at first and takes care of themselves. But every little thing that you do every day, every habit that you start doing, every workout, every like meal prep, every little thing, it's all a vote into the person that you're becoming. And another big part that helps with this is start telling other people what your goals are. Have someone outside of yourself to hold you accountable to the person that you're trying to become. This is where, obviously, with a coach, you have that guidance, you have that accountability, you have someone holding yourself to it. Even if it's just a friend, or if you want to start sharing your journey on social media, having something that's holding you accountable to commit to, again, just makes it so much easier to follow through to your goals. But probably the biggest thing is just start shaping your identity into the person that you want to become. You might not necessarily feel like that person right away, but you can build that over time. The more you do the stuff, and you can start to think, oh, I do take care of myself now. I do eat well. I do the things that support my health long term. So it's just building that identity, reinforcing it through the daily actions. And again, that's going to massively support your goals long term. So to wrap up, 3 small things that you can focus on this week. These are kind of things that I'll go through with new clients, but 3 little things. You can start by trying to stick a certain habit onto something that you already do. For example, in the morning, you're going to grab your morning coffee, you need to get to the gym. Maybe you have some kind of like ritual. You have your pre-workout coffee and then you're straight to the gym. You don't think about that in between. You just do one thing and then you know that you do the next thing after. Number 2, make it stupidly small. When you're trying to get into a routine, you might have an ideal if you want to hit 5 days a week in the gym. You want to stick to your calorie target 100% of the time and stick to this ideal diet. But when you're starting out, it's so important to don't overwhelm yourself trying to do too much in one go. Make the little changes initially so small that they feel so frictionless, so almost like stupidly small to do, but small enough that no matter what you have going on, if you don't feel like it, whatever, you can do these small little things. You can start building the habits. You can get to the gym 3 days a week for 45 minutes. You can cut your calories down from where you were before by 200 calories a week. Just little things like that, little things that are slowly over time going to get you closer towards where you want to be. You're not going to get from where you are now with all the bad habits and with a weight that you don't want suddenly to doing all the things that the version of you who's however much lighter and however much more toned and confident. That's not going to come overnight. Do small little things, make it stupidly small, start building momentum, build the habits, start seeing the progress of the work that you're putting in, and it becomes so much easier to build that routine that you feel is sustainable long term. 3rd big step, tapping into like making it rewarding. Start tracking everything that you do. I find it crazy how people don't do this in the gym with their nutrition, but when you don't track anything, it's so much harder to motivate yourself to want to improve them. When you start tracking your workouts, you can see what weights you've done last time, you know what you have to work on, you have a plan to follow. With your food, if you've never tracked before, track for a week every little thing that you eat across the whole day, and suddenly you realize how much it adds up to. And then from that, you can work out, like using a calorie calculator online. Go find where your calories need to be for fat loss, and then obviously that gap is why your weight isn't moving in the direction that you want it to. And when you can see those numbers, you know what you need to work on, you know what you need to improve, and you then have that awareness for the areas that you can change the easiest. And again, when you have your target, you have your goal, try and like gamify it, make it somewhat more fun to stick to the deficit and get there, along with rewarding yourself. When you're tracking it, it's gonna motivate you so much more to stick to the things that you need to do. So if you don't do that already, do it, even on the bad days, because you will have days where you're less on track, and those are the days where you don't feel like logging the food. If you had a bad week, you might not feel like checking in and looking at how your progress has gone. But that is where your progress is going to come from. It's going to come from taking accountability for the areas that you need to work on. Don't be hard on yourself, because that time's gone. You can learn from it, you can move on, and that's okay. Probably the most important thing, what I try and drill into clients, is you're not going to make this change overnight. It's all about just aiming to be literally 1% better every day. You're laying those bricks, laying those foundations, one step at a time. It doesn't feel overwhelming. It's fitting into your life as it is. You have a plan that fits your schedule and your preferences, and you can make room for the foods that you enjoy. You're doing the gym. You're doing that in a way that's not packing out your schedule. It's sustainable, and it feels like something that you can stick to. There is an element of you have to have that motivation. You have to have the drive and the desire to put it in to practice. But the other side of that is putting in the habits and the foundations that are going to make it so much more frictionless to stick to your plan long term. So stop fixating on your long-term goal too much. Have it there, that's fine. But focus on the day-to-day actions. What are the things that are going to move you towards that goal? How can you make it small? And that's how you're going to stick to your plan long term. Anyway, if you found this video useful, hit a like, drop subscribe if you're not subscribed already. I'm going to be sharing videos like this every week. I have fallen off recently, admittedly, but on this channel, sharing both actionable fat loss advice and also recordings from our calls within the Sculpt and Sustain community. If you want to learn more about how online coaching can help you achieve your fat loss to break the cycle of yo-yo dieting, I'll put a link to a form in the description. Just fill that out and we can have a conversation about how it could look for you. Not that you have to go for anything right away, but just to see if it is a good fit for you, for where you're at, and if we'd be a good fit to kind of work together on that long term. But again, thank you for watching to the end. I know I've waffled on a little bit in this video, but I appreciate you for sticking around to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.